Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajeem. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu-alaikum. Ji ayanu, pakhair agale, ni hao, chunashumme, washmale. Ohio gozaimasu, guten Morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifa hal? Harishuma chatore, ahlan wasal, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, suavi, bhalli kare aya, hosh gyaldin. Anayo hasayo, huya mora, chivato, chihal yud, kalimera, and a very warm welcome to each and everyone who's actually tuned in to PTV World and are watching World this morning alongside my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Miss Hajar Satti. I happen to be Shahzad Hassan Khan, and we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, hello Hajra, how are you doing today?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for introducing me, Shahzad. Jazakallah khair. It's Monday morning and I think it's the start of the week, and obviously having said so, I was going through my Insta feed and I found that Barney franchise is being revamped, and because we grew up watching Barney and we have lots of memories with the Barney. You haven't watched it?
You know, I have watched it, but I wasn't really very fond of Barney.
Really?
Yeah.
I love that jingle.
It's that purple dinosaur sort of a thing,
yes,
right? Yeah.
Yes, and it introduced a lot of Disney stars like Demi Lovato and what was the name of that person? Selena Gomez and Hannah Montana. All of these were first introduced by the Barney franchise, but now Barney is being revamped, and the Barney dinosaur has been revamped and it has been reshaped. So it had a very mixed reaction on the Twitter, and some were saying that, oh, Barney is getting very slimmer and it has some sort of surgery, that is why it's like that. But having said so, I think that Disney is really capturing this nostalgia market, because few years ago there was this revamping of the Lion King franchise, right? And they made it, and it was a really nostalgic moment for me watching it, because when we were growing up, we were kids, we used to watch that, and it has so many memories, and the circle of the life and the jungle and all of these things. So that was a very wonderful to listen to it, to watch it, and again now Barney is getting revamping it again. So we will see that how it rolls out, and it will be on air on 2024.
Exactly, and for all of those people who have a lot of higher expectations, I believe that you should certainly wait for it to come out first, because a lot of people had expectations from the remake of Friends as well.
Yes.
And not a lot of people loved it the way it was earlier, because I think it was too commercial this time around. But with Barney, I think I've had personal issues, because I never thought that a dinosaur can be this friendly. Hello friends.
Why not? Why not? We haven't seen dinosaurs, so we can imagine how we like it.
So
no?
that's exactly the reason why I'm saying that that the very image of having or to witness a dinosaur is that that the dinosaur we go back in time and kind of look at Jurassic Park and how it has shaped up our childhood. Because I was in second grade when for the very first time our school trip went on to a cinema over here in Blue area, and the NAFDAC cinema, and we watched Jurassic Park. It was wonderful. And there was Jurassic Park, there was another one as well, where you play this board game and then monsters come out of
Jumanji.
it. Jumanji, yeah.
Jumanji.
So I think it was a wonderful childhood, but for all of those people who've been looking forward to Barney, best of luck to you as well. And the news is out. But having said, I think it's about time that we move on towards our top stories. Let's see what's happening inside the country and on this planet we call Earth.
So Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has said that for the purpose of coordination, all the relief assistance to earthquake-affected people of Turkey and Syria should be dispatched through National Disaster Management Authority. Chairing a meeting in Lahore, he paid rich tribute to the humanitarian welfare organizations of Pakistan over providing rescue and relief activities in Turkey and Syria. And certainly we have seen that Pakistan has been very proactive in providing humanitarian aid assistance, and we say it again and again that such sort of I'd say such situations where one could see the best of the humanity and also the worst of the humanity. So we pray and hope for the people who are affected by this earthquake, and we pray that their miseries are mitigated, because obviously the temperature in itself is a hindrance to the search and rescue operations out there. So moving on to another top story. So today we are observing the World Day of Social Justice across the globe. The theme for the World Social Justice Day 2023 is overcoming barriers and unleashing opportunities for social justice. World Day of Social Justice is identified to tackle issues like poverty, exclusion, gender inequality, unemployment and human rights. And obviously all of these issues are interlinked, and that is why World came up with the concept of the SDGs Sustainable Development Goals, and I think they would be completed. The world aim to complete it by 2030. We will see how much progress we have made, because before the arrival of the SDGs, we had the MGDs, Millennial Development Goals, and they couldn't be completed because there were lots of issues in it, especially with the time frame.
And we hope and pray that, that in days to come, obviously, we are able to achieve our SDGs as well. But having said, I think over here, I would like to kind of mention that, that what we have done today is that we have dedicated the last entire half an hour of our show towards the Social Justice Day as well, and to kind of speak about it on a micro level, whether how, a common man will actually encounter social injustices and how do they really need to kind of cope up with that. But having said, once again, I will move on to where on Sunday, ladies and gentlemen, it was a double header, so first up, we went on to Multan, where the table topper Multan Sultans outplayed Islamabad United by 52 runs in the 7th match of Pakistan Super League 2023 in Multan. And right after that, we took you to from Karachi, from Multan to Karachi via PTV Sports, and there it was Karachi Kings versus Lahore Qalandars, where Karachi Kings actually won by 67 runs, and it was the first win for Karachi Kings, ladies and gentlemen, just yesterday, because the first 2 matches they lost miserably, and they were lucky enough to win it by 67 runs, and some stellar performances. Obviously, if we are to talk about Multan Sultans, Mohammad Rizwan really rose so, and then even that they were not able to capitalize the way they have been capitalizing, but I think in the middle order they certainly made sure that they're going to do well. And Islamabad United, I think we had our expectations high, because imagine now, for the likes of Munro, for the likes of Asif, for the likes of Shadab Khan, for the likes of Hassan Nawaz, I thought that, that they, because they have batters, and they take you down because it's in depth as well. And I thought that they would be able to, kind of win this match, but unfortunately it didn't happen. So if you are kind of supporting your local team or your city team, please make sure that, you just go out on Twitter and show your support, because I believe that this happens to be the best ever season of HBL PSL Season 8.
Right, so certainly we can see the excitement in Shahzad, because he is obviously a cricket lover, a great cricket lover. So today we are going to talk about a topic that is very pertinent across the globe, and we have seen the rise in the debate around such topics. So we are going to talk about the mental wellness and the lifestyles. And I do believe, and I have been saying it again and again, that our lifestyle is the main problem, that why mental illnesses are on the rise. So just for the example, take the example of social media and how people have carefully curated their lives across there, and when they perpetrate or perpetuate a very perfect sort of a lifestyle where they do not have any problems, and then they are beautifully positioned in a particular place, and they have taken their photograph. But obviously reality is not like that. And because of this peer competition, because of this peer pressure, we see that a lot of people aspire to reach that ideal. And how much sustainable is that sort of an ideal or that sort of a lifestyle, and what can we learn, I think, from our predecessors, because ancestors, I would say, because obviously they had a lot to offer us in terms of wisdom and in terms of wellness. Intellect, obviously. And so let's talk about this broader conversation regarding mental wellness and our lifestyles, and what sort of lifestyle changes we need to make in order to make sure that we are living a healthy and a fruitful and a satisfied life out there. So we are very glad that we have been joined by one of our favorite clinical psychologists. She happens to be Dr. Uzma Masroor, and she's also president of Pakistan Association for the Clinical Psychology. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us. Wonderful to have you over here. But first up, because Hajra has actually kind of built it up so beautifully, I would actually want to contribute towards it and, make our viewers in 46 different countries understand whether when we talk about lifestyle having an impact on our mental health, what do we actually mean by it, when we say lifestyle in the first place?
Okay, thank you very much for inviting me here for this different topic, talking other than anxiety, depression and this and that, and we are talking about the lifestyle and making our minds healthy. So just to make it a little simple for our listeners, lifestyle basically pertains to your body, the functioning of your body in a proper manner. When we narrow it down, it is all about our functioning of our body. So body, brain physically is part of our body. So brain is kind of an organ that we need for our intellectual functioning, for our executive functioning, for our critical thinking, and rest of our thought processes and everything. So for this purpose, when we keep our life according to, keeping our body healthy, so that means we are kind of building up certain activities, the day routine activities, the social patterns, the activities pattern, all in this direction, that how we can feel healthy mentally and physically. Both.
So who you meet, what you eat, what do you do,
Yeah.
what keeps you captivated,
Yeah.
how much do you rest, and all of that. That's lifestyle. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I'll be talking about 4 major things so
Sure.
that people can understand and comprehend, and rest other can be built up around that.
Please go ahead.
So the first thing is basically the diet, what we eat and when we eat.
Paratha.
Paratha.
Sweere hi khada hai.
We should eat paratha.
Desi ki ho na.
We should, yeah, desi ghee. And eating habits, eating patterns, and I would say different things related to eating. And the second thing is your sleep pattern, your sleep hygiene, the timings, the duration.
What do you mean by sleep hygiene? Can you
Sleep
quantify?
hygiene mean creating certain, situational circumstances, and I would say keeping yourself healthy during the daytime, and towards the time of the sleep, you are done with your day activities, and moving towards the time when you are now done with the day, mentally and physically in both.
And
For
a lot of
physical-
times what we observe today is that, and I think I'm also doing that, but I'm trying to amend my ways, because what happens is that we are often glued to the social media or the mobile, you're watching something or scrolling out something while sleeping, and making sure that that is sort of a new lorry that
It is, and it
So
actually
no,
helps you
as-
as well.
Yes.
as the name implies, as the term implies, hygiene means just to be clean.
Yeah.
You prepared to
Mentally,
do something.
emotionally, physically.
Mentally, emotionally, physically, and creating certain circumstances around, so that the sleep is peaceful, in time and sound.
Yeah.
So that the physical processes of your brain and body, it can regain energy, and it can rewire itself. Your brain rewires itself for the next day.
True,
This is the
because
purpose.
these days we see so many motivational videos, and they keep on telling you about how you really need to push so hard. Nobody talks about resting, making sure that you're having good diet and whatnot.
Exactly.
So diet 1, number 2 is sleep patterns, sleep hygiene.
Yeah, and number 3 is your physical activity, your physical exercise, or anything related to your physical activities.
Yep. Which,
Planned activities.
And I think one of the important thing when we talk about mental wellness and our lifestyle changes is, Shahzad, the inclusion of religion or religious activities into our lifestyle. And I do feel, for example, if we see how Islam has geared the entire daily activities for us. So for example, you wake up early in the morning, offer Fajr prayer, right? And I think that is the time when our body is actually healing. And when we do that, and when we go out and take, for example, when we were growing up, so a lot of our ancestors used to tell us about the morning walks and how much beneficial it is, right? But nowadays we would see that I think our lifestyles are tailored in such a way that a lot of people, they are night owls, they're not a morning person exactly. So what do you think Islam has to offer to the clinical psychology?
I would definitely talk about that, because coming out of your comfort zone is the main, I think, thing that you need to learn, because when we teach people how to be more healthy, when you are seeing your routine a day ahead, then you should pick a few activities which you think would be uncomfortable for you. Because I think, not saying that this is uncomfortable activity, but once we are busy in some activity, it is very difficult to pull ourselves out of it. Secondly, our minds are so engaged in certain activities that if somebody doesn't pull us out, we are engrossed in those activities, and we are losing our mind even. So for that purpose, the religion, I have specifically lot of study related to the impact of religion on your day routine and on your mind as well.
Okay.
Because it has so very, beautifully lined up activities for us, so that we can stay ourselves, keep ourselves mentally healthy.
Exactly, and thank you very much for saying that. But let's just complete all the four things that you wanted to kind of shed light on. So one was diet, sleep pattern, hygiene, physical activity, and number 4?
Number 4 is the healthy leisure and social activities.
Healthy leisure.
Healthy leisure and social activities.
I think it should be inexpensive leisure.
It's inexpensive,
I think
definitely.
that the only layer that nowadays we find is scrolling ourselves, scrolling on the social media, and it has become such an addictive.
Actually,
And you know, I actually feel happy. So imagine, you know, if there's an off day and I know that I am not supposed to do anything throughout the day, you know, I just feel like, you know, okay, I have all the luxury to be on my phone. And it feels great as well. So now let's start to contemplate on number one, diet. Okay, how do you think that if we mess up our diet, we can mess up our mental health as well?
so there are two more important things, two important things.
You said
Number
four?
one, no, about diet, there are two things.
Sure.
One is the time duration, when you are eating and when you are not.
Always?
You're giving time between your two meals.
Yeah.
You know, seeing the time pattern, the duration between the two major meals, and also intermittent eating as well. So we need to be mindful about how much duration we are giving our body, you know, to digest the food or to regaining the strength or whatever we have eaten, to just, you know, make use of it first. So when we are eating throughout the day, we are basically not giving our body enough time to digest properly. And the second thing is what we are eating. One is when we are eating, and second is what we are eating.
A lot of protein.
Along with protein, carbohydrates, and rest of the things, we think most of the people I see these days, they are, you know, losing on their weight, vagara. So they are so much into it, they do not learn the importance of the, you know, dietary elements they should have on regular basis. So, you know, being slim and smart is not actually the goal one has to achieve. There should be health into it, because when your body is not healthy, how can your mind be healthy?
That's
true. Exactly.
Your brain basically is the hardware of your, you know, functioning.
Right.
And your thought, your mind is the software.
And thank you very much for saying that, because, you know, I would want to admit it over here that a lot of people who go to gym and look all buffed up and muscly and, you know, they have this perfect figure which we think is perfect, they might not even be healthier to an extent that, you know, because we might not be aware, you know. So there are a lot of people might be going through a lot of different issues, and you know, so just going to the gym does not actually ensure that you're fit, because I see a lot of people who you know, kind of pay the fee, come to the gym, sit down, just use their cell phones and go back. You know, so, you know, once they go back home, they'll be like, Ma, I just came back from gym. I mean, Ma doesn't know, man, because he didn't do anything in the gym. You know, he was just sitting idle. Hanji, Choi Saab ki haal hai, you know, socializing.
I feel lack of energy. Give me 2 parathas.
Yeah, and I feel so bad, you know, and it's because that, you know, imagine, so you're all focused, you know, you're running on your treadmill and there's this gentleman, Hanji, Shazad bhai, assalamu alaikum, you're like, Hanji, so you're slowing down your treadmill and, Ji sir, kya karna hai, you know, all of that thing. Please, hey, you know what, I think it really needs to be a part of your discipline. If you see somebody working out, don't go. Don't tell them to Assalamu alaikum, don't start a gupshup. Please let them at least focus on their lives, you know.
And here Islam comes again, and when we see this fasting routine in Ramadan, basically it is so much self-disciplining activities for us, because then we have specific timings to eat, and then we avoid eating something that might cause us trouble next day. So the timings, looking at the timings, we eat when the day ends, right? And then eating when the day starts.
And then we keep on eating till the time of Fajr.
Exactly. We keep on eating.
Sir. You know, because, you know, what happens is, so, you know, no matter how many pakoras you're going to make or how many samosas you're going to get, you know, so then there are leftovers. And then when you have leftovers, you go for Maghrib prayer, you come back, you do a little walk, and then you go to the kitchen just like that, just because you know that the next day you're going to fast again. You'll be like, okay, yeah,
so I think there are a lot of misunderstandings about the body functioning and eating habits.
All right.
One should learn this.
Yeah. So moving on to now, sleep pattern. Let's just focus on this as well, so that, you know, our viewers have a complete picture. So now coming on to sleep pattern, and I want to ask you today on record. Some people say, some doctors say 8 hours sleep. Some people say 6 hours sleep. Some people say 7 hours sleep. I mean, how does it work?
Or does it vary from demographics to demographics, from example, children to adolescents?
There is this minimum hours to sleep is around 8 and till 12. So this is the ideal time. 12 in certain cases. So my point here would be that we have different, for example, bodies, we have a different functioning. Some people, when they get rested for a few hours, like 6 hours, 4 hours, they feel completely rested and their mind is back to work. But there are some people who have to sleep a little longer. And this pattern also runs in the families as well. So It depends, like it is not some pathology or something, but minimum of 8 hours till 12 hours mean it also includes some rest during the day
But
time.
don't
as
you
well.
think sometimes when we are oversleeping, even though we are not feeling very
Even
fresh,
then
there
we-
are those days, you know, when we oversleep and we feel that,
You
you know,
know,
okay, again I'm feeling very
groggy.
sleepy. And
But it has to do with your routine. It
Okay.
has to do with your mental stress as well. When
Okay.
you are stressed and you are not sleeping, you are not having a sound sleep,
Right.
or you are not sleeping in time, and you are also stressed while you are sleeping, you are still thinking about something.
Yeah.
You know that you know disturbed sleep. So definitely the whole day long it will be
वो
with you.
फिर मेरे ख्वाबों में भी वही चीज़ें आनी. Yeah, that's how it is.
Right.
But you know, so imagine, you know, on this, you know, because a lot of people can relate to this question. So imagine what happens with me is that no matter if it's an off day, no matter if I'm working, whatever the reason is, right after complete 6 hours, my eyes open up
Yeah,
automatically.
this is what I'm talking
Auto.
about.
That happens.
You know, so even last night, you know, I was at a wedding, got back home really late, you know, so I slept at around 2. And I was like, okay, you know, I'll get 6.5 hours to sleep. I'll wake up at 8:30, just, you know, go beyond 30 minutes from where I was waking up. And 8 o'clock, man,
Then you know
my eyes were
yourself.
wide open. So does that mean that I'm actually affecting my own health by not sleeping enough?
No, not exactly, because
Okay.
once you are slept well and you feel your body is now fine, so
Yeah.
that means you are fine.
All right.
So when we have, you know, sleep disturbance, I'll be talking about that because lately the young generation, they have messed up with their routine.
True.
And they have messed up with their minds as well,
That's
because they are not no more concentrated on their studies, they are not that patient, and they have very low stress tolerance.
Yeah.
This is because their mind does not get enough time. You know, there is another thing called circadian cycle. You have an idea?
No.
Because when the light goes back, when
Right.
sun sets basically, this is your inner clock that
Okay.
indicates you to sleep now.
Okay, wonderful. So, yes, please go on.
So what happens when we sleep by that time, then this clock awakens us in the morning with the first ray of the light.
Right.
So this is circadian
Biologically.
cycle, this is built-in clock. When you go against that clock, you can well imagine what should happen to your body.
And certainly we can feel that there's a biological clock
Yeah,
inside
biological
us, which
clock.
Shahzad was also alluding to, because he felt that his
Yes.
eyes were
Yeah.
wide awake at the 8
Yeah.
a.m., right? And
Like
I think
this.
that's a wonderful thing. What else do you need then? So talking about mental wellnesses or mental illness in the first place, we have seen, Shahzad, that a lot of celebrities have actually came forward and they're talking about it. For example, a lot of people from Hollywood, not just Hollywood, but from also our industry too. For example, like people like Naomi Osaka, who have talked about it and how it's taking a heavy toll on that. So do you think, Mrs. Ma, that such sort of conversations do make an impact, or is it just a PR stunt for them?
I think reality may not be that, maybe not to that extent that we should believe each and everything, because every person has different circumstances, every person has different personality. So every person's life revolves around certain other things which we may not have in our
Yeah.
lives. So I think our life is tailor made. We can definitely, there are certain parameters that are common to everyone. But there are some other things which we cannot comprehend in our mind. It also depends from culture to culture, person to person, and then profession to profession, and the way you communicate things to the others. Sometimes we are doing a great deal of work.
Right.
Basically, we are not good at at communication. We may not communicate that well.
Right.
So sometimes there are certain people who can communicate it in a convincing manner so that people start believing as if life is ideal for them. So I'm not going to negate anyone, but it is just we should look at our own self, because due to this this basic surge in social media and everything, people have encountered the mental illnesses more than often, because now they are more concerned about their physical appearance, they are more concerned about their weight and everything. So I think these things are problematic in a way as well.
Exactly, and it can actually be troublesome as well, even in
Yeah.
near future, God forbid, if they go unaddressed as well. Now, moving on to the third
Third.
point, which happens to be the physical activity. I mean, a lot of people go to gym, some swimming, some running. It's important, right?
It is important.
Do you want to add something over
Yes, I
And
would add.
people who do not have access to such sort of facilities or luxuries, for example, a lot of
I
women,
know.
they do not have this facility or the safe space where they can step out from their houses. So they are restricted in their houses, right? What about them? And I think an element of mobility has reduced in modern lifestyles a lot.
But I think in in urban cities, what we see is that I believe that everybody has that freedom, and so
Not
we
exactly.
might probably be the ones who are blessed, alhamdulillah, that we have all of this facility at our dispense. But you know, I do see the culture because a lot of women come to our gym. You know, it's a safe space. They work out. And I believe that everybody is doing a great deal. It's just that you really need to take that first step to be out there in the first place.
Exactly.
And you know, a lot of people make an excuse by saying, oh, you know, the environment, or
we don't have any,
and you know, things like that, whatever.
Yes, your question is also very valid, but I would talk about a very basic activity that is called walking. Mere walking from 20 to 40 minutes a day makes a huge difference in your life and in your body actually.
And in your cardiovascular health as well.
Cardiovascular health, because it has direct connection with our mind as well, our mental activities as well. So physical activity not only reduces the ailments, the physical ailments, but it also prevents different physical ailments. You know, it activates your different body organs to function to their maximum. And the best thing is your thought pattern also changes, because there is an evidence of this from lot of, you know, heavily funded researches, that the walk basically is the key component to your physical and mental health. So I think walking space, sometimes we see, मैं तो सारा दिन काम करती हूँ, I'm so very active, I have to go upstairs, I have to go downstairs, I'm cooking, I'm not sitting for a second. People think this is walk. This is not walk, this is exertion.
Wonderful.
Because it doesn't have any pattern when you are moving, when you are sitting. So this is pattern and exertion, pattern of exertion.
Exactly. So very quickly towards the end of this segment, you know, just one last you know, point which has been left behind, and that is healthy layer.
And
you need to
I think, I'm sorry, I'm interjecting you because there's some problem with the mic. But having said so, I think, Shehzad, it's very important that we adopt some healthy layer. Having said so, because again and again, then I talk about it, that there's so much addiction on the social media, and that I think prevents us from adopting a healthy layer. So, for example, for me, a healthy layer is reading some book in a lawn. What is it for you?
Playing with my daughters.
Wonderful. And I think that sort of bonding is really wonderful, because it just not only nourishes you as a person, but it also develops a strong bond with the children, which is very necessary, I think, in a very digitalized era of that. So thank you so much, Dr. Usma, for coming to our show for this very cross-pollination of an enlightened ideals of the mental wellness. And with that, we'll go on a short break. And after we come back, like Shehzad alluded to it, we'll talk about social justice and what does that entail for us as Pakistanis.
True.
So don't go anywhere.
Good morning. Everybody, welcome back. Thank you very much for staying tuned to Beating World. You're definitely watching World this morning. Earlier, we were talking about how your lifestyle can actually have an impact on your mental health, and we certainly discussed 4 points. We hope and make sure that you know that you're going to follow all of those 4 steps, and make sure that you're going to have a healthier lifestyle, so that you have a healthier mental well-being.
And like Shehzad alluded in the beginning, that we are going to talk about the World Social Justice Day, because today we are observing that. And when we talk about social justice, obviously there's a lot of inclusion and there's a lot of poverty which we have to tackle, and especially as a citizen of Pakistan. So how does that concept, or that abstract concept, concerns us? So we are very glad that we have been joined by a very well learned guest, who happens to be the Saddo Gilani Sahab, who is a motivational speaker. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for coming to our show. So obviously, when we talk about social justice, I think poverty is one point that definitely concerns us. So if there's a poverty, obviously a lot of people are going to not get the same opportunities, especially when we talk about the class-based disparities and whatnot. So how does poverty affects the concept of the social justice, and how can we actually make sure to address this point?
Actually, Article 37 of Constitution of Pakistan says that government should give priority to the people of areas which are actually backward, and they do not have the equal opportunities of education, health, you know, and of course when it comes to economics,
the basic amenities of life,
economic side of them. So you know, second thing which is also given, and I I can just with a heavy heart cannot comment on that, is that the justice should be given
True.
to all the people, especially the neglected people, on what you call it, on a cheaper cost or at no cost, and as soon as possible, at the earliest. So the thing is, to me, honestly speaking, social justice is a political slogan, not only in Pakistan but also around the world. I give you one example of New York. New York has the world's strongest, rental control part or law in their city,
Okay.
and the highest rents are in New York.
Right. That's true.
Exactly.
It's a very
So
expensive
it's
city.
basically a political slogan. The thing is the religion we belong to, it has a very clear definition. If you are with Allah, then stand on justice.
True.
Otherwise, you're against Him.
True.
So can we imagine what we are talking about?
Exactly. And sir, with that, I would like to kind of add on over here, because just yesterday I was in conversation with my nephew and I spoke to him, and we were like that, for example, when we go to Makkah or Medina,
Right.
so there's only one azan. There's not going to be another azan after 5 minutes, or before that, 5 minutes, that there were multiple azans going on. And they make sure that, that is exactly the reason why they do not have religious extremism within their own country. Now, when I to talk about social injustices, I think what we really need to kind of address over here is that people, for their political benefit, create these social injustices so that they can get a voter bank and then come into power. How do you think that, we are to responsibly make people more aware of the fact that you're being used, and that, all of this has been, people have been doing this to you, may it be anybody out there, to make sure that you're going to kind of speak about these social injustices, and then eventually people will be in power just because they happen to be their vote bank.
You actually highlighted a very painful point. It's the duty of the state. As you mentioned in Makkah, so the state does not allow anyone
True.
to run their own rule.
Exactly.
So same goes for Pakistan. There are some societies, where there is a law, there is a discipline that the Maulvi or the Khatib will be appointed by that organization,
True.
right? And then you get rid of all these small and big differences.
Ambiguities,
And
issues.
it's actually, I usually say that when you talk about religion, when you talk about language or whatever it is, usually these things are used as a tool to spoil or to destruct the enemies. Our unfortunate part is we do not realize that we are actually injecting it within our own society.
True.
This is very dangerous, very dangerous. There should be a discipline, there should be a rule of law in this particular domain. And secondly, as you said, if we have a logo in state of Pakistan that is called Islamic
Republic of Pakistan.
Republic.
Islamic
Right.
Jamhuriyat Pakistan.
Islamic Republic. So the thing is, if I commit or somebody commits a sin inside a mosque,
Yeah.
it's really of a high
I
grade.
think it's really
So just let me
Right.
complete this thing. That if we tag this name to our state, we must ensure that we abide by that.
Must adhere to it.
Otherwise, we are not a bad, we are not that bad nation. But the thing
Good
is,
people.
that we are taking the name of Islam, taking the name of democracy, and then do high injustices, high level of selfishness.
We
You know, we
actually we have a
demonstrate that
buffet
in
of
our
our own
society.
preferences. That's how it
Exactly.
is.
And
So
then-
we have picked up things from within our own religion which suit us.
Exactly.
We certainly do deny, not even deny, but we do not adhere to all of those things which Allah has
And-
actually
and-
mentioned in Quran for us
I'm
to
sorry
do.
because
Sure.
this will not complete the message. The thing is, if we do not abide by those things that we commit to or we announce to, then we will have a bigger punishment for us. Why we are not getting the respect in the world of nations? Because we say something else, we do something else. So we should put some lines, and we should abide by those lines, that we will not cross those lines, especially when it comes to justice, because then you're standing against Allah, and then you know what is the ultimate end. So we must be very, very careful.
And let's take a more, I think, nuanced approach to this entire discourse about the social justice. And like both of you mentioned that how we are Islamic Republic of Pakistan, and obviously what does the Islam entails about the concept of the social justice. So if you analyze the last sermon of Holy Prophet Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, you will find that he talked about human rights, right? He talked about, you know, how you should treat your women, how you should treat your slaves, what sort of values you need to adopt, usury or the riba that was haram or ban, and that, you know, that sort of, there was this blood justice, you know, so if one person will be killed in a tribe, then that will go on for centuries and centuries, right? And he said that I'm going to forgive the blood murder of one particular person. I think that happens to be his family member, right? So he ended that very bad practice. So if we really want to go back to a prophetic route, so what does the concept of social justice entails for you in terms of Islamic values?
So basically, as I said, it's equal opportunities
For everybody.
for everyone. It's equal status for everyone. In Europe, for example, I mean, if somebody is cleaning the floor, but in the evening he'll be sitting in the same pub or club, you know, nobody can disrespect that person because of his profession.
Yeah, true.
So this is actually the learning of teaching of Islam. So Allah gives respect to those who actually follow the rules. It's not that we have to follow the rules because these are the rules. It is in our benefit. That's why the rules are there. So today, as you mentioned very, very rightfully, that we think justice is what if it suits us.
True.
Even at our homes, people are asking your help just to favor them.
True.
Not to implement justice. So it's not only the government, the state. Of course, they have a bigger responsibility, so they'll be answerable, much higher than others. But even in our homes, we are all common people. We are not actually trained to justice.
Exactly. And sir, very quickly, so these are the 4 points which are most prevalent in our country. We have short tested them as well. So first of all, out of school children. Number 2, healthcare services not available for everybody. Clean drinking water and the rule of law treating equally every citizen. That's not happening inside the country, unfortunately, and I have to say it, I have to be honest with my job at least we need to serve justice over here. So all of these 4 things are the major menace as of now of social injustices within our own country. How do we address them?
So basically, it's joint responsibility of the state. Unfortunately, I don't see the vision. I've seen in my town when I was a child, I've seen the Baladia there.
Right. Local government.
They constructed some, what you call it, washrooms, bathrooms.
Yeah.
Over a clean water
Stream.
Honestly, because, and when I spoke, I was quite young. I spoke to them. They came. They sent someone to my father. Look what he's talking about. So it's a lack of vision. We don't choose right leaders. Number 1. Number 2, what we do, we are not. Safai, we call cleanliness is half of the religion, half of the faith. What does it mean? I mean, your prayers, you're dealing with people, whatever it is, it's 50%. And the remaining 50% is the rating of the cleanliness. And so we in our nature are actually not, not doing that. So wherever we sit, we just throw the things right. So we need to train ourselves. We need to actually blame others of doing this kind of thing. So even the clean water, I mean, the people who have clean water, they themselves spoil it.
True.
So it's a joint responsibility of the state and the people of Pakistan. Number 1. Number 2, when it comes to health and education, where is the cheaper education? The state should provide, must provide that.
True.
But they just allow the private institutions to build their own,
and
schools
I think that
everywhere.
was not like that, because our parents, they have been into the government educations, and they talk about how good they were. And I think if you go to the England, you can find that how much it is prided or prized there to go into the government educations or government-run institutions, because they're more merit there.
Not really now.
But I would say something, I've seen those systems myself. The time you're talking about is the time when the private institutions were very limited.
True.
So then people used to send their children to the government schools. Even in Germany, the government schools are not,
free
that good grade or status or what you call it, standard quality. So they want, but the private education is so expensive. They don't afford to send their children there. So they have to send. So we need to make sure that we have we push people to send their kids to the government schools, and we ensure that the teachers are present there. I mean, in villages, you can imagine teachers are not there. Schools are just set empty.
Yes.
So it's again, there are joint responsibilities, but the state must act here, that they should make the government schools at least available to a certain standard, available to everybody, that you and I can send our children there. And more important thing is, they're not only education. Education is maybe compromised everywhere, unfortunately, but the discipline.
True.
Somehow the criminal mindset in those schools. So government must actually correct that thing, and the people will be encouraged to send their
And
kids.
the government has been working on it as well. We just recently did a program on that, where how we talked about, we spoke about restructuring for our education system, and the UNO report actually mentioned that we are 60 years behind the syllabus which has been taught all over the world. Now, sir, very quickly towards the end, one last thing, and that is that, how Pakistan is subjected to injustices globally. Because I believe that, that's a point which we really need to address over here, that, we as a country, we can speak about, what's wrong within our own homes, and that's what the beauty of democracy is. But having said, when we look at it as a global common, we do see that, Pakistan is subjected to a lot of injustices when we talk about the international community. And what do you think that the state and the citizens of the country really need to do to make sure that we are treated as equal?
There is one basic reason, and that nobody is really scared of the law. Is not. They think that they will manage it.
Aneep, but we are talking about the international system.
No,
So
this is what I'm telling you. In UK, one of my friends who was there for a PhD, he told me that once their telephone STD was open, and the students in UK knew about it, and there was a queue to use this unfairly. So if there is no law, everybody would love to break it. So the only responsibility of any government is to establish the rule of law and ensure the timely justice.
No, that's something which we have spoken about. What I'm trying to say over here is, for example, how the West kind of propagates news about Pakistan. That's something which is a social injustice. When we talk about economies growing together, or getting equal opportunities. They frame us. They say share stories which are not really true at all. And we have had a lot of vloggers coming down over here, shooting for us, and they have kind of sent all of those videos outside, where now the people are gradually becoming more aware. But there's these media houses, who have this, one-point agenda, and they would always propagate bad news about, God forbid, Pakistan. And that's something which I would take as social injustice against my country. And how do you think that, if there's social injustice prevailing in the international community against my motherland, how do you think that we can come across that and bridge that barrier?
The problem is that whoever has a bigger pocket will be able to buy many people.
Yeah, that's what the problem is.
The thing is, all bloggers, how many are trained? How many are really educated that you should show respect to your home, to your country, to your village, to your city? The thing is, there should be always some lines. I mainly talk about lines.
Thank you.
So you cannot allow anybody to say anything about any city or country or to earn money. The thing is, they are fine with that. I mean, they're getting content, and they're selling it. But why we do not apply some rules?
True.
We know all bloggers, right? If somebody is not doing the right thing or feel the responsibility, he should be banned. he should be put to the court of
But
law.
how do we?
I
But
don't
how do
think
we
so we
verify or clarify freedom of speech? Then I think that's what
I
the
think
issue is.
on the social media, it's a big issue because you cannot ban particular person, because if you're banning that one particular account, he will come back from another account, and that is a dilemma that the social media is
No,
grappling
but the person you know,
How can you ban a person on social media?
Well, we're
it's
very
not
short on
banning
time.
about
We have
him.
only
It's
30
not
more
about
seconds,
banning
please.
about him. It's about talking to him. I mean, rule of law is there.
I mean-
you can get that person. You can reach to that person.
I mean,
right,
if,
and talk to
if
him.
someone has a set agenda, it's very difficult to, mend that folly. But having said so, thank you so much for coming to our show and for having this conversation, because we are really short on time and our producer is asking us to please wrap up the segment. So having said so, I think it is very much important to, project your own counter narrative to that dominant narrative that is, and this is what we are doing on the PTV World in English channel and English language, that we are producing a counter narrative that is actually going to paint the true picture of Pakistan.
And we have been very successful with that too as well. And please make sure that you write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of World This Morning. All the pages happen to be with the name of World This Morning. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, look after yourselves. Have a great start to the week. Until next time, 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.
Have a great day.